So I think we're pretty good. We're at 3 minutes after. So I'm going to ask everybody just to mute and keep your cameras off. And then if you want to ask questions, I'm going to say hello in the chat. That should just pop up for you as a hello. And then if you come up with a question, feel free to interject. And I should be able to still see the chat. It should still pop up for me when I'm doing the presentation. But I might have to end and go out of the full view. But it looks so much nicer if I'm in the full presentation view that we're gonna start with that. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my share, and I'm gonna start sharing the presentation. So you should see now. Welcome. This is my symposium. I came up with this idea, and if you don't know me, I'm a yibber yabber. I love to talk. And my friends didn't really want to talk about perimenopause and menopause. They would talk about symptoms, but then they would say, no, that's not what it is. And so I started the group because I needed to talk about it. And I found some ladies that wanted also to talk about it. And so we did. And then it got to about 100 people. And I kept having people I didn't know trying to come in. And I thought, I just really feel for everybody who gets told that they're fine when they're not fine. It's not fine to have all of these symptoms, even if your blood work is perfect. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the longtime members. I have several longtime members who have learned a lot themselves, and they're in there all the time offering support and strength and love and hope for the members. So they are what helps to make the group so amazing. Oh, look, see, there's a little chat thing just popped up. See if I can just keep it open over here, and then that'll be good. All right. Yeah, definitely want to keep talking. I think you just have to keep talking about it. That's what I tell people more than anything else. Don't give up. Keep asking for help. Keep talking about it. And then I just wanted to do a little disclaimer because unfortunately, women in North America are at risk at our age of developing eating disorders and addictions, which I couldn't believe when my doctor told me about that. But it's true. And we are also at high risk of having body dysmorphia, which means we look in the mirror and we think we look horrible. And our friend is saying, "What's going on, babe? You look great." So this could be triggering for you. I'm hoping that it won't be, because I'm going to talk from my own experience as a woman who's been able to manage her weight for the last 9 years. And we all need to love ourselves. So there's going to be a big emphasis on that and not thinking about flaws. Most women, between 45 and also they get put into asylums for nervous breakdowns at that same age. So we're kind of in a very vulnerable state. Keep that in mind. This is for education and entertainment. So you guys saw this when you were in the waiting room. It's not a substitute. I don't want anybody thinking that because I said something or the doctor said something that they don't need to go and talk to their nurse or their pharmacist about it. If you have a prescribing doctor, they're where you need to start. And it says before you start an exercise or change your diet. Now, I'm going to just say, if you go to a doctor and you say, "Oh, I've read this book by Mary Claire Haver and I'm going to change my diet and start eating da-da-da-da-da," they might think that you're nuts. But just keep that in mind, right? Like, make sure that they know that you're playing with your diet a little bit in case there's something like, for example, I have people all the time asking me about intermittent fasting. We're going to talk about that a bit. But diabetics, I don't think you should be doing intermittent fasting. I think fasting for someone who has blood sugar dysregulation can be dangerous. Now, I'm not saying don't practice with it and try it out. You can try it, but monitor very, very closely. And I wouldn't go more than 12 hours. We really only need 12 hours to get the benefits of fasting anyway. And then the supplement, same thing, clear with your healthcare team. They may not know anything about lion's mane, so it might not be worth it, but it's still, I think, important to let everybody, so that everybody knows what you're taking. And this is from my experience. What works for me may not work for you, but that doesn't mean it's wrong, and it doesn't mean you can keep trying until you find something that works. So why should you learn from me? A lot of people are like, why should I care? You just started a group. You're nobody. It's like, well, I have a Bachelor of Arts. I studied in anatomy, pathologies, physiology, psychology. I have a minor in anthropology. I'm a certified yoga therapist with over 900 hours of trainings, including post and prenatal, which is all women's health. And I've been working specifically with women in perimenopause since 2019, which is 5 years. That's 5 years experience. I've also been an educator for almost 25 years now. I have studied Reiki, Feng Shui, belly dancing, painting, you name it, kind of. I'm just a curious gal and I'm always learning. Right now, I'm in Dr. Sarah Gottfried's beautiful Hormones, and we're going to talk a little bit about her book as well, which I highly recommend. I just got it, so I'm just getting into it. But she has some really nice recipes in there, and recipes are your friend. I have maintained my weight. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is not to shame anybody who hasn't. It's just the statistic is 5 pounds per year a woman will gain. So in 9 years, I'm about the same weight as I was when I joined the gym. It's pretty significant, but my body composition is completely different. I have way more muscle than I have ever before in my life. So you can do that too, but it does take concentrated effort. And I have a trainer, so it's a little bit, it's fun. Actually, I like her. So this is just about me. I'm designing classes. I design classes, workshops, do the Symposium once a year. I like to design things based on demand. I just had a woman asking about how to talk to her husband about this stuff. And so I designed a class, peri and post-menopause, for male partners. It's really kind of like utilizing all of my skills as an educator, putting everything together and trying to build targeted education for specific issues instead of just like, in general, it looks like this and it looks like that. That being said, they are classes, so they're not specific to you. If you want help that's specific to you, you have to hire me as a one-on-one coach, and then I can actually do that for you and design a program that's specific to you. So here's my before and after. This is when I did a fallback to fitness challenge. So my trainer was like, let's just kind of tighten things up. And this is the first time I started using MyFitnessPal because I had been working out regularly. This is 2019. So I started a few years before that in 2016. And the tipping point for my fitness, my overall health and well-being, was adding in a tracker and tracking and keeping track of everything, but not from a caloric, deficit standpoint. I'm not trying to starve myself by any means. And then this is what I look like now. So you can't really do the comparison because, I couldn't fit them all on one screen, but it's pretty close. Like I do have a little bit more belly, protrusion, I suppose, right? I have a little bit of bloating right now because I haven't been good about staying off the sugar. I had my birthday in the middle of October, and then it's eating season because it's Halloween and Thanksgiving and all that stuff. So I have been indulging a bit in the sugar. And the other thing I wanted to say is like, your body will find a place where it likes to be. And mine seems to be somewhere between 160 and 165 pounds. No matter what I do, if I force myself really harsh, like very disciplined and, it's hard and I don't enjoy it, I can get down to 155. But I don't enjoy it and it never lasts because it's not where my body's happy. My body's happy somewhere between 160 and 165. It really got me thinking, why do we have this idea about being skinny? And what is that for women? And I think it's really about keeping us weak, to be perfectly honest. My doctor told me that the women who are just naturally slender and don't really have to work hard at staying fit, they go through menopause, and at their next checkup, she says they're frail. And I've had 2 friends be diagnosed with osteoporosis who are younger than me in the last year. So that's, I guess what I'm saying is I would rather be strong, If you look at me, I'm probably the kind of gal you would have put some water on my shoulders. I would be carrying a baby and I'd be walking around chopping wood. That would have been what naturally would have been happening for me as we evolved. So I need to challenge my body to stay fit. And that's how I look at it. Skinny is weak. So when I say I feel fat, when I hear that, I know that's a dysfunction because fat is not a feeling, it's a judgment. Judgment is saying that you're fat. There's no such thing as feeling fat. You can feel bloated. You can feel uncomfortable. You can feel too full. But be careful how you talk about yourself, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. So I actually consider myself extremely lucky that I was, upset enough to go to the gym in the first place and that it's worked for me. So weight management, the summary of the challenges, and the 3 main points. So you might be sick of hearing mindset. I kind of am like, just constantly mindset. But I want you to think of that in terms of how can we reduce that stress? How can we bring your stress down? Stress and the stress hormone cortisol has a tendency to go high in peri and post-menopause and cause weight gain. It's not your friend. Your exercises and your choices around exercise might need to change. Your discipline might change as well, because there's a difference between having discipline. Like this morning, I went and did my workout with my trainer. I didn't sleep well, but I warned her that I hadn't slept well. And she keeps that in mind when we're working out and gives me more breaks. And then I can still do the workout. That's discipline, but it's tempered, right? It's not come hell or high water, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it gently. I'm going to do it with love. And we're going to talk specifically about macros. Macros are the turning point. They were the turning point for me with my weight. And I just love this little picture of the 2 little kids. Like, this is what we need to do for each other as much as we possibly can. Just be there witnessing and supporting each other in our journeys through peri into post-menopause. This is my favorite quote of all times. When everything is important, nothing is important. So this is the most powerful lesson I learned in feng shui. And I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I'm going to make sure that people have access to the slides afterwards. But we really need to prioritize our own self-care. Exercise is part of our self-care. It should come from that place of I'm taking care of myself. And when I was thinking I got to get to 155, I was miserable. It's so hard to get down to 155 and completely unnecessary. I'm extremely healthy at 160 or 165. And my stamina and my strength is what indicates my overall health, not a stupid number. And I'm not saying don't weigh yourself. I'm just saying keep track. Like I weigh myself about once every 3 weeks, maybe once a month. When I had a cycle, I tried to do it at the same time. So I would do it right as my period ended. I don't have a cycle anymore, so I can't do that. So I just try to do it once a month. When you start working on reducing your stress, a lot of things will start to come into place. All right, so the scale might be moving up, your pants don't fit, you're feeling uncomfortable, the doctor said eat less, you've been trying, but all of those things that you did before, they just don't work anymore. It's not working. You're cutting your calories, you're miserable, you're not sleeping well, you're feeling like you're a failure because the weight's not budging, or it just keeps moving up no matter what you do. And it does feel like a cruel joke. It's something I never really had to try to lose weight, which sounds terrible. People get mad at me for that, but I was just kind of, on the slender side, always a bit strong, shall we say, sturdy. So when we switch that focus to a healthy lifestyle, so for me, the big change was switching to thinking about cardiovascular health. My brother died at 55. My mom was dead by 66. Massive heart attacks. It's pervasive all across my family. And we get the same thing. Overweight, diabetes, heart disease across the board. So what part of that can I control? I can control my weight to a certain extent. Mindfulness and yoga. I love yoga. Yoga has changed my whole life. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for doing the yoga teacher training and the yoga therapy program. I love supplements. I love supplementing. And I look at it like giving your body what it needs to make what it needs to make. So you're filling your cupboards so that your body can make what it needs to, so you can function well. And then HRT. I'm on a modified version of HRT. I'm taking progestin to stop my period and progesterone to help with sleep and anxiety. But I can't have any estrogen because I'm estrogen dominant. So estrogen would make me feel better in some ways and worse in others. I'm not going to take it at this point. This is Corey. Corey's in the group. She was my first volunteer. She was super, super active in the group, always posting and talking to the ladies and just really positive. And she's very fit and she's very interested in staying fit. And she's just been delightful and helpful in so many ways. Like, we all owe something, because after about a year of running the group by myself, I was getting burned out on it. And Corey stepped in and I said, I really need help. And she said, I'll help you. And she is still helping to this day. She's monitoring your posts. She's making sure that fights aren't happening. She's kicking people out if they're trying to sell their, Bitcoin or whatever weird stuff they're doing. And she helps me to make decisions about what to do if and when, because occasionally there is an issue. And sometimes it's not clear what steps I could take or should take. So look at this babe. She's not on any hormones. She works really hard and she takes great care of herself. And she also has done a lot of work on her stress, and looking into the vagus nerve has been very helpful for her. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to show you this picture is that's Corey, and she's in her gym and she's with her weights. And, a lot of us don't want to look like that. But, I am very strong and I don't want to look like that, but I want to stay strong. So I'm going to show you my arms. Right? That's 9 years of weight training. I'm muscular and I like it. It's good. I'd rather be strong. And I have the stamina to do the things that I want to do. The important thing to notice, though, is you don't have to bulk up. Just because you're weight training, it doesn't mean that you're going to bulk up. It takes a lot more than just weight training for women to bulk up. They have to really live off of a lot of protein. And honestly, a lot of the girls that do it professionally will use testosterone in a way that is not legal in Canada or the States, I don't think. I like this one. The difference between winning and losing is most often not quitting, right? Because your body condition is in a certain state, and then you just have to make a decision about what you're going to do. Now, once you decide to start with your lifestyle, the reason I recommend lifestyle first is because lifestyle never expires. You're not going to outrun it. Lifestyle is going to stay with you, especially because once you make some changes, you get used to that. That's just how you do it. And it's going to keep you well the longest. If you add in the prescriptions without doing the lifestyle stuff, it can help with weight loss and weight management. It can help with anxiety. It can help with cortisol. But from what I'm seeing, and I teach from an experiential way, and from how I'm working with other women, they are really focused on their lifestyle first, and then adding in natural stuff like lion's mane. We'll talk about that particularly. And then prescriptions, and the prescriptions really work at that point. So I always encourage everybody to think a little bit about their values. Like, I have one friend where she just doesn't care about, it's not that she doesn't care about me, but she doesn't care about this work that I'm doing. She is very much interested in doctoring. That's her thing. She wants doctors. She wants prescriptions. That's all she's interested in. And she's really clear about that. So that's great, because then she can do that. She can totally pursue all the medical stuff as much as she wants and get some benefits from doing that. But, you really have to ask yourself, am I willing to do the lifestyle work? I'm going to show you how to do it so it's not overwhelming. but it's still going to be work because it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't means that you can't just do the normal things that you have been doing, the things that have become habit over time. You know what? I think I forgot to push record. So I'm going to start that. Maybe I can't even do that from here. Hang on a second, ladies. I just want to check and see if I did that in the Zoom. Zoom. Oh my goodness. Hang on a tick. Yeah, you know what? I forgot to hit record. Okay, so we're just going to pick it up and I will make sure to share the whole presentation with everybody. All right. Sharing again. Here we go. We are working with weight management. Okay, now it says I'm doing the share screen, but I can't see it. Here we go. Slideshow. Slideshow. Okay. So what does mindfulness have to do with weight management? Mindfulness is that term that's kind of annoying. Like, what does mindfulness mean anyway? It's not just about what you're thinking. It's about being aware of what you're thinking, and it's the kind of skill that you really have to practice. You have to practice with it because it doesn't necessarily come easily, as I said before. So how we think is going to define our success. So let's just say you had, I've had a really rough year. My dad passed in January. I was really depressed, and then I had surgery in February because I was waiting a year for the surgery. And I gained some weight. I gained some weight after my dad died, and I gained some weight after the surgery because I had other priorities. And if I was telling myself that I was a failure because of those things, I would have been way less likely to start working out when I had permission to start working out again. And that's really important. Like I have to keep working out. And so as soon as I got my permission, that's where working with a trainer makes a huge difference, or working with me as a coach, because I won't let you just sit around for too long. It's really a matter of keeping ourselves going. And what we tell ourselves will inform how we perform. So if I'm telling myself that I'm already a failure and I've, gained a bunch of weight after this surgery and I'm sad because my dad died, I'm less likely to keep track of what I'm eating and to make sure that I'm moving my body around. You can change your mind at any point. You can just decide that those thoughts are garbage. I didn't bring it downstairs, but I have a journal that I call a junk journal. And anytime I have those thoughts, whatever it is, you're a failure, I'll write that down. I'm thinking that I'm a failure because da 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 da. And here's why that's a load of, I don't need to listen to that. I don't need to buy into it. Not ignoring the thoughts that you're having, acknowledging the thoughts that you're having, and then letting that go. The power of mindset. So this is part of the power of mindset. It starts with mindfulness, though. And we need to learn mindfulness. It's one of those things where, people all the time talk about cognitive behavior therapy. It's great. You pay attention to the thoughts that you have, which is great, but it doesn't really take you to that next step. Like mindfulness takes you to that place where you're thinking, oh, shoot, I forgot to hit record when I started this meeting. Now I haven't recorded the whole beginning, and there might be something important there that people have missed. And that's my fault because I did it wrong. And now I'm in a spiral and I can't do what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Or I can just decide that, you know what? People make mistakes. People make mistakes and nobody's perfect. And I do have audio of the entire things that I can share with people because I'm recording the audio separately. So there's always another way of going about things. You just have to stay aware of what you're thinking and then decide. So if you want to take charge, and I really challenge you to think of it as taking charge of your health. Weight management is just a part of your well-being. When it's just one part of your well-being, if it's moving up and down a little bit because you've gone through, a surgery, it's okay. And you'll feel better about it, which will help you to get back into doing your workouts and watching what you eat. So your perspective may need an adjustment. A lot of us, like if you look in the group, in the CPMS group, a lot of the posts are, frankly, just really feeling sorry for yourself. And I can't blame anybody for that. Not only can't I blame you, but I also feel like that toxic positivity of like forcing yourself to try to look on the bright side, it's not going to be helpful either. So we know this across the board at mid-age, our stress hormones increase for everybody. They don't know why that happens, but they know that it's true. It makes it harder to lose fat. The body will store fat when it's stressed out. So let me give you an example. Woman's doing intermittent fasting, which isn't necessarily bad or wrong. I do it a bit, but I do a milder version, 12 to 14 hours. I don't push myself further than that. So she wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning and she's having anxiety, feeling really awful, decides to just get up and do her workout, gets on the treadmill or the bike or whatever she's doing, works out for an hour on an empty stomach. And think about it like I have a minor in anthropology. Think about what that means. So in the biology of what your body has, you've inherited a caveman body. It has the same hormones as the caveman. What you've just told it is not only are you in danger because there's scarcity, you don't have enough food, you're also in danger because you're running from a bear without enough sleep. This is liable to increase your stress hormone even more. Now your body's storing fat because you've increased the stress hormone. That kind of activity might have worked when you were in your 20s. It might have been fine and you might have even felt better all day. You're more likely to have anxiety, and that's going to drive you to soothe with food. And then we'll get hyper-focused on how we look, beat up ourselves about the changes. We might find other people so stressful because we don't feel good about how we look that we isolate ourselves, which creates this negative feedback loop. Now you want to eat more. Now you're soothing more. Now you're alone more. Now, but nobody's watching you. Where's the accountability? You don't have it. And it spirals out of control. So mindset you can learn to control. You practice mindfulness daily, and then that'll start to come in. I also like this, the world exists as you perceive it, because people say, no, that's just how it is. But other people might not see it that way at all. And you can control how active you are and how you eat, because your state of mind does matter. I wanted to show this because this is the emotion wheel. You've probably seen this somewhere before. This is the one that one of the coaches that I work with likes to use. And I love it because if you look at something like sadness, look at all the other feelings that could be involved. Dismayed, displeased, guilty, isolated. We get really specific, and it helps us to understand what we've been feeling, which can help us to understand how we might be turning to food in times of distress to soothe ourselves. And just an observation, right? We're making observations about ourselves. That's part of what mindfulness is. And then detaching from that, I'm feeling sad, feeling that sadness, acknowledging that sadness, and then moving on, knowing that it's not going to be forever. It's just uncomfortable. You can allow it to pass. And then here's success, could be informed by eating plans. So here's some keto. People like keto. I don't. Clean keto, I'm still confused about what exactly that is. It doesn't make as much sense to me. But I basically just started eating more fish. Galveston diet, which I talked about in her book a little bit, and the intermittent fasting, which I like to do a very mild version of, having the support to stick to your plan. So it's nice to have an accountability partner if you can find someone, or if we want to set that up together, we can. And then focusing on the daily movement. So just for an example, yesterday I was having a really bad day. I was just in a really negative place, a really bad state of mind. And I kind of didn't know what to do with myself at a certain point. So I decided to go on the rower. And I just did 20 minutes on the rower, giving myself the opportunity to burn some of that negativity off. And then I felt much better without eating a bunch of food. I had my dinner. I had some dark chocolate. I didn't really need to eat more than that. Although I did have some olives because olives are salty and it'll kill your sweet craving. So I love this one too. Here's your box of what you can control. And what you can't control is all the way out there, right? Past mistakes, others apologizing to me, who loves me. You have no control over those things. But you can control everything that you take in: food, water, entertainment, opinions, and judgments. Judgments from others, judgments from yourself. You can decide whether you let that affect you. And then what you put out: your exercise, your rest, your mindset, your focus, and your acceptance. So this might be interesting, but the woman, Dr. Sarah Gottfried, like I'm doing her class, as I said before, she said that she joined a 12-step group. And that made a huge difference with her relationship with food and how she was eating and why she was eating. And she recommends that to women who are going through peri and post-menopause. Now, the thing that I found interesting about that is I have been a member of Al-Anon for many, many years, and that's a 12-step group. It's for family and friends of alcoholics. I have also gone to OA, which is Overeaters Anonymous, and I've learned a lot from the 12-step program, and it is something that is embedded in our support group. That's where I learned how to run a support group. You know, you volunteer for the 12-step program. It's all volunteer-led. And that's why you'll see so much kindness, and it comes down from the top, right? We have lost sight of taking care of ourselves. That is huge. It's almost like, you know, perimenopause and the issues of post-menopause, just, it's a hard stop. It's a no. Can't do it anymore. Sorry, not going to happen. Have to take care of myself first. And we need support to remember our family is going to continue to place demands on us, which will sabotage our fitness goals. Now, I'm not saying that they are doing that on purpose. It's like sabotage always thinks like it's a purposeful thing. It's not. We're all creatures of habit. Those people are used to you dropping everything for them all the time. And so they continue to ask you to drop everything for them. That's all. I had one client who was in her 70s, and she canceled with me one day, short notice, and she said, I think I'm going to have to quit. And I said, why? And she said, well, because my family, and they're asking me to do this, and they're asking me to do that. And I was like, are you kidding me? 1 hour a week? You can't have one? You're 70 years old. And you can't have 1 hour a week to yourself? You can't tell your family from this time to this time, I'm busy for something for myself? Like, what is the world coming to? That's ridiculous. They're not children. They're grown children who have their own children, and she's still dropping everything to run in. Anyway, she didn't quit. She did another little while with me. But, remember that. This is like your decisions to put yourself first. And then look at the symptoms, right? This is from my my list of perimenopause symptoms that can be used as a tracker. You can use this to show your doctor. So if you look at the symptoms, it's like, no wonder we're having trouble with all this stuff. Losing confidence in your ability to work, study, or function normally. Losing interest in the things that you enjoyed. Who wants to live like that? It sounds terrible. No wonder we're having trouble. So sometimes I'll just look at that like, yes, you're having trouble. It would be weird if you weren't having trouble dealing with this stuff. So we need an exercise and an eating plan, but it has to have flexibility embedded, because otherwise you won't succeed. If you didn't sleep well, I didn't do like the crazy HIIT workout this morning. We did use some weights, but we also spent some time on the rower, and we did things that she knows that I like and some things that she knows that I don't like, but that are good for me. Mindfulness practice during the day. That is really key. You learn to observe your mind. And so mindfulness looks like this. You're sitting and you're meditating, and then you think, oh, what's for dinner? And then you label that thought. That's planning. It's not happening right now. And you let it go. And the more you learn to do that, the more you can look at it as it comes up during the day, as you're going through your your work and the things that you need to get done, and say to yourself, oh, I'm just thinking about tomorrow. No wonder I'm so overwhelmed. I'm not thinking about what I need to do right now. And I did want to make sure to say hot flashes are worsened by anxiety, and they can trigger each other. So if you're one of those people that gets a hot flash and then immediately goes into, oh no, how bad is it going to get? How long is it going to last? I'm so embarrassed, or whatever it is you're telling yourself, that can make the hot flash work worse. It's much better to kind of go, okay, that's interesting. I'm having a hot flash. How normal for someone in peri and post-menopause. And then it doesn't seem so bad. When you have mindfulness, you have a plan of how you'll manage. Having a plan is half of this stuff. And having that mindfulness plan is part of the 21 Days to Fix Your Sleep Challenge. And I have the link here to download the symptoms list if you haven't gotten that already, or you can ask me. This is my cute little yoga bear. I love him so much. Yoga makes life more bearable. When things are changing really fast, we're struggling to keep up. So this is where I say eat something salty if you're craving sweets. It can kill the craving. And if you're craving salty, try something sweet, something little like honey or stevia pop. I love the stevia pop work. It works for me. Talking to someone about it helps a lot. Doing some gentle movement, brushing your teeth, getting a good book, like basically any of the things like having a hot bath, anything that you enjoy. And intermittent fasting, just pay attention to if it's stressing you out. That's the only thing. So I have people say, well, how long is it safe, right? Is 16 hours safe? And, really it's going to depend on you and your body condition. But 12 hours is kind of when the benefits pop into place. So I try to go to 12 to 14 hours. If I stop eating at 7, I'll eat breakfast around 9. But I'm telling you, if I wake up hungry at 6:30, I'm going to eat. If I genuinely feel like I'm hungry, I'm eating, because the body's trying to tell me something. And don't try it if you haven't talked to your doctor about it. I think that it could be potentially an issue. The books I have seem to avoid that. But if you're talking blood sugar, when you haven't eaten anything in a really long time, your blood sugar is tanked. So I don't know if it's really healthy to do that when you're diabetic. It would seem to me to be not healthy. I know one person who has diabetes who has done some intermittent fasting. I don't know if they've talked to their doctor about it. And then how can you apply boundaries? Is there a simple boundary? Something simple. Is there someone or something taking up too much time? And that's like me with the CPMS group. To be perfectly honest, I put my phone away at about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I don't look at it again until I'm like up and about moving around during my day, like 8 o'clock, sometimes later, because otherwise I will be in there answering questions and talking to people like honestly 24 hours a day. I had someone send me a text message at like midnight on Sunday. And we need to be aware of that stuff. It just wears away at the level of anxiety and stress that we're carrying. And it's up to us to not look at the phone. I actually leave it in the kitchen. I plug it in the kitchen. It's all the way downstairs and I don't look at it. I have noticed on days when I go get the phone first thing in the morning, I'm more likely to feel depressed by the middle of the afternoon. And for me, depression and anxiety are the ones that will drive me to food. So I need to avoid that. How we talk to ourselves can make a huge difference. If you blow your eating plan, every day's a new day. Every day's a new day. Sometimes I'll slide out of my bed in the morning and I'll tell myself, I am reborn. It's a brand new day. I'm a completely different person than I was yesterday, and start again. I like this little quote about healing. Healing doesn't mean the damage didn't exist. You're just not letting it control your life. So one of the things I've added a sheet at the end, a screen at the end that is all about resources And one of them is for adverse childhood experiences. And when it was first brought to my attention, I thought, oh, childhood trauma, would that really interact or interfere with your perimenopause? Like, why would that be? But I kind of look at it like if your stress level has been at a certain level that's kind of a little bit too high because you've had stress and trauma in your childhood, and then all these ups and downs happen with your hormones, your baseline is too high. So you go up a little bit higher than someone who didn't have that trauma in their background. So a lot of this stuff is about obsession with looks and youth, and we can let that go. You can just decide, no, I'm not going to buy into any of that stuff. And then when you catch yourself thinking that way, that doesn't resonate with my values at this time. So here we are talking about accountability. So I like MyFitnessPal, and I won 2 fitness contests in my 40s. Considering when I joined the gym, I was like, I don't know anything about working out. I've never been into exercise. Going to the gym makes me really uncomfortable. I don't really like it. But I did it anyway, and I was dedicated enough that that's what happened. And I think one of the reasons why it worked is I kept adding myself. I kept thinking, like, what can I add in that isn't too hard or overwhelming? So what can you add in? When I was looking at the Galveston diet, so that's this one. I wanted to show you because look at all these little things I've marked on this book, right? I use this book a lot. She has some good recipes. Really, I decided to focus on more protein. First, I added in more protein. So I started asking myself, where's my source of protein? I found a couple good protein powders that I liked, and I started using those. I added in Zevia. It was recommended from someone in the group, actually, that it's a sugar-free pop, and it's sweet enough, and it gives me that bubbly thing, so I feel like I'm having a treat. And I started to look at macros, because macros makes a bigger difference than cutting calories. And your stress. So I like the shower meditation, just really envisioning that you're cleaning out the sadness, regret, anger, depression, let it all go down the drain. Take charge of your menopause, lower your stress. So one of the things we talked about before was like what we're taking in, and I like listening. I'm a musician. I'm a trained musician as well, and what I'm listening to makes a huge difference. So I'll turn on the nature channel on the TV and just listen to the bird song. I like walking. I like going for nature walks, and I love talking on the phone. So I do that. And think about your time commitment. Here's a really good one. If you want someone else to pick something up, you have to drop it. So a lot of us are managing relationships with other people, with roommates and lovers and husbands and partners. So let's just say domestically, you've kind of taken charge of always doing the cooking, and you've been asking for help in the kitchen and it's not happening. You can say, here, honey, here's a book. I want you to pick one of the recipes. Here's a coconut chicken soup. That doesn't sound too hard. You're going to make this on Wednesday. And then see how that goes, right? And one of the things that people will say is like, well, I tried that and it didn't work. He didn't do it. But did you go in there and make the dinner? Like, be honest. Did you make dinner? Because if you went in and made dinner on Wednesday when he was supposed to and he had agreed to do so, then you're showing him that you don't have to help in the kitchen. I'm going to take care of it. And people are not evil. It's not wrong. It's just how we're wired. We are used to doing everything based on the habit of how we do things. And they will let you work yourself to death and have no idea that that's what's happening. It's up to you to have that self-care strategy in place, and it's up to you to make sure to communicate it to your partner in a way that they can understand. So for me, we were talking about Tuesday. It's his turn to make dinner on Tuesday. He fought me on that. I said, no, but realistically, one day a week, you should be able to make dinner. Come on. I'm having all of these health issues. And eventually he agreed to do it. And then, there were a few Tuesdays where I was just stuck eating leftovers or whatever. And I cried and told him how disappointed I was, because so many times in my life, I prioritized making dinner for the family. Right? Where's my payback for that? Do you care about me or not? And anyway, he's pretty well trained to it. He'll still forget sometimes, but it's on the calendar, man. I don't know what to tell you beyond that. And then I think it's important to let your family members know that you're trying something new. Like if you decide to focus on adding in some kind of movement every day, that might have to happen in the morning, and it might have to happen right after work. You might need someone else to help you with dinner or bring dinner home. So you have to let people know, and you have to take your time about how you do it and just pick that one thing. So we're going to talk more about that, but you're building from one thing and then adding in the next once that's a habit. I wanted to make sure to talk about Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra, if you don't know what it is, it's like a nap. You just lay down, you've got your eyes closed, someone is guiding you through like a guided relaxation. But it has been shown, like there have been many medical studies now on this, where it's been shown it takes lowers the cortisol if it's too high. It brings it up if it's too low. It creates this feeling of well-being. You feel like you've had a sleep. You feel like you've slept, but it's not like nap where you wake up and you're like, oh God, now I have to wake up again and start all over. You come out of it aware and well-rested. And you can correct all kinds of issues with this practice. Like, let's just say if emotional eating is a problem, you could have Sankalpa, which is an affirmation that you use during the Yoga Nidra of, I eat when I am hungry and I stop when I am full. Very simple. But over time, it becomes true. It's amazing. I'm on Insight Timer, so there is a link to a really simple 20-minute tongue drum exercise that you can just have on in the background that will help to relax your nervous system. And there's a lot of easy Yoga Nidra naps you can check out. I recommend doing Yoga Nidra 2 to 3 times a week. And if you are having a sleep deficit, it will help to replace that and get you back to normal. So here's some of the books that you might be interested in. I started with She Glows. So my naturopath told me I had to lose weight. She wanted me to start eating some more vegan recipes because of the heart disease in my background. So I started with She Glows, and I just picked recipes, and I would pick one new recipe every week. Just one. Just start with one. And then I would add in more and try different things. And if I liked it, I would do it again. And then if you have the money and the energy, you can hire someone. There's therapies that can help, naturopaths. I can help you with my stuff. I can keep you safe while you're trying different things. I think we need to change the language around the all natural approach. I think it's kind of like calling vaginal childbirth natural childbirth, because, we don't want to vilify anyone using medication at all. Medication is wonderful and can be used and might make a huge difference. When you stick with the healthy lifestyle and then add on top of that supplements and then add on top of that some hormones, that's going to make the biggest bang for your buck. This is the best one. The Next Level is the best book I've found on working out. If you haven't really gotten into exercise and you don't know anything about it, they explain perimenopause succinctly. Like, it's so good, their explanation. The Galveston diet explanation is also excellent. I'm in a class right now with Sarah Gottfried and have just gotten the Women, Food, and Hormones book, but I'm looking forward to it. Basically, what I'm saying is just pick something. One thing, pick it. Try one thing a week. Focus on the one thing you want to do. If you want to add in more protein, look up recipes that have healthy fats and protein. And then we're going to talk about MyFitnessPal. So these are actual numbers from me screenshots that I took today. So I wanted to show you, if you're looking at calories, for example, here. So you have your daily average, you have your goal. See, this is low right here because this only has my breakfast in it. I hadn't had lunch yet. My calories are over the goal calorie. Okay? And I'm not really worried about that. What I really want to look at here is my macros. The macros are what's going to really inform weight loss in peri and post-menopause. Macros are carbohydrates, fat, and protein. And if you go from the numbers in the Galveston diet on page 231, she has your maintenance numbers. Now she has a little bit, for the first week you do this and for the second week you do that. I didn't do any of that. I don't want to do anything that might cause distress for my body. I need to go slow and gentle. So if you look at her numbers, I'm pretty good. 38 carbo, this should be 40, 40, 20. I look at the week view because I find it too hard. It's too hard to do in one day 40, 40, 20. I find I'm often a little high on the protein, and I think that's okay. I'm okay with that. As I said, I'll probably have 2 or 3 shakes most weeks, protein shakes, to help to get that protein number boosted. And then here's the nutrition. So for today, I only need 12 more grams of protein, but this is again in the week view. So I'll probably have more than that. But you can see the carbs are a little bit low. They should be. Fiber's a little bit low. I'm going to make sure that I add in more fiber. This helps me kind of make my choices about what I'm going to eat tonight. I seem to be pretty good on the fat. I had eggs this morning. That's why that's high. So anyway, you are what you eat. Keep it simple. And that means looking at the stuff that we're going to create a healthy gut biome with. Like yogurt is excellent. You can get the plain yogurt that has high protein, is unsweetened. I like to add nuts, flax, bran, frozen fruit, the stuff that you like though. Make it delicious and you're going to want to eat it. Unless you can't eat dairy, then there is a really good coconut yogurt. I haven't tried it, but I've heard good things. The fermented foods, because they're really good for that gut biome, sauerkraut, kimchi, pickled beets, and there's lots of options if you want to look that up. And then high protein, high fiber, oily fats. So like fish oils, avocado is really good, avocado oil, and olive oil. And yeah, so have a look at that. Where are you getting your fats from? You want to think of it more like the healthy oily fats. We're really looking for more of the omega-3 fatty acids. So gut biome is one of the simple places where you can help your hormones. It's not, nothing is really just one system, right? We want to think the ovaries make hormones and that's it. But your adrenal glands pitch in to make estrogen when your ovaries start to slow down, and your gut will store hormones as well and help to pitch in to keep everything, if it's in balance. I really like this Intelligence Labs Women's Probiotic. This is my favorite. I have had no urinary tract infections after having 4 in a row and being told that I was getting to the point where it was considered chronic. So that hasn't happened at all. I do use estrogen cream. It's the one way that I can use estrogen. It doesn't go systemic. It stays on the vulva and inside the vagina. I say vagina now more than I've ever said that in my whole life, but I really like Jameson brand. If someone recommends a supplement, like if, let's say you go and you get your hormones tested and you ask for a vitamin panel, which I think everybody should, they should know where their C, their D, and their B is. And then you find, okay, I'm low on vitamin B and I'm low on D. Try and find the Jameson brand. Canadian company, inexpensive, can find at Shoppers, get extra points. I've had the best luck with them. But if you're looking at, like we're talking about gut biome, Jameson has a few different ones. I would go between a few different probiotics. I wouldn't just stick with the one kind because you want to try and mix it up and make sure that you're adding, enough healthy stuff so that the good gut bacteria is growing. And then the obvious things to cut out: alcohol, added sugar, meaning no sugar cereals. And you have to check stuff like ketchup, salad dressings, salsa, spaghetti sauce, canned soups, like anything that's canned might have added sugar. Coffee is really bad for adrenal gland fatigue, I'm sorry to say, and it's not good for high cortisol. I have not cut out coffee, just so you know. I am still having coffee in the morning, and I like that. So for now, I'm sticking with that. And then whenever I'm wondering what to eat, I'll ask myself, would my grandmother eat that? Because if she wouldn't, then it's probably not good for me. I wanted to give you some simple liver detox. So you can think of the liver as the filtration system of the body. Everything we eat or drink, consuming, what we're affected to, like what we have in the environment, in the water, what's around us, it all goes through our liver. So the liver can get kind of sluggish and overrun with toxins. And I'm not a big fan of, like, what do they call those, cleanses, where you're like eating a bunch of stuff that makes you poop. I don't think it's a good idea for me because I'm so sensitive and I seem to have reactions to things quite quickly, quite easily. I like to stick with this stuff. I love the roasted dandelion root. It's amazing. And all of these are available at Shoppers Drug Mart and Superstore. I like fennel tea, and it can help with constipation. If you can handle the lemon juice, you can have that in the morning with hot or cold water. But I can't because I've had ulcer. It just irritates my stomach. Parsley salad is simple and delicious. So this is also good for your liver. Why are we talking about liver? Well, everybody's always complaining about being bloated. That bloat that we have is a lot of the time related to the liver not functioning properly. When you get the liver functioning properly, the bloat comes down, especially sugar and overloaded just with stuff, right? When we eat something that's processed food, our body, anytime we eat anything, it has to go, okay, that's a banana. I know what to do with a banana. I'm going to use the potassium like this, and I'm going to use the fiber like this. I know what parsley is. I'm going to use it like this, and I'm going to take this. And when you eat like, MSG, the body goes, what is that? I don't know. I'll store it as fat. I'll make you bloated. So just think of it that way. If you like parsley, it's really good for you. If you like onion and garlic, that's also really good for you. A little bit of lemon and lime juice, very good for you. I like the Himalayan sea salt. Doesn't really matter. Just try it. I want to talk a little bit about adaptogens. So one thing to be careful of is high estrogen. If you have too much estrogen in the system, a lot of us in perimenopause have that. Some of this will raise your estrogen, so you have to be a little bit careful about which ones you might want to use. And you can always ask, like you can ask me. I know quite a bit about this stuff now. You pay me for a private session. I want to do a full medical before I give you specific examples on what kind of adaptogens you might want to try. But these are one of my favorites. Here's some favorites of mine. Lion's mane. Oh my God. Lion's mane is a mushroom. It's amazing medicine. You do have to be careful. It might cause stomach upset. I just take a 1/4 teaspoon and put it in my morning coffee. It helps memory. It got me through my last psychology class, which was brutal. I started having brain fog. And the other one I don't have on here is Changa. It might be listed on here. This is in the group. You can find this available in the files section. So I like to rotate. I'll go lion's mane for, until the container is done, basically. So powder, maybe 6 weeks, 2 months, and then I'll switch to Changa, and then I'll go back and forth. I also like Schisandra. Schisandra is really good for balancing your hormones. It's good even if you have estrogen dominance. It helps your stress response and your energy levels, and you can find it in a tincture. Tinctures are less likely to cause stomach upset, and they're more likely to be well tolerated. Holy basil is an amazing adaptogen. It's part of Ayurvedic medicine. It's also known as Tulsi, and you can find the tea, and it also helps a lot for sleep, anxiety, and I believe it took my heart palpitations away. Just tell me what to do. Okay, I'm going to tell you what to do. Exercise every day. Think of it more like, what kind of things do I enjoy? What am I up for today? If you're really having a bad day, or you're really tired, or you're really sad, go for a walk. Talk to your friend on the phone. 50-50 cardio and resistance training. Don't think of it like you have to pick up a bunch of heavy weights and do heavy lifting. You certainly can, but you don't have to start there. Pick an eating plan. So you just pick something. You go, okay, you know what? I'm going to try this hormones and I'm going to try this, see what she's got to say. And then I'm just going to pick one of her recipes. I'm going to start working on adding some of that in, and then, go from there, and then be open. If it's working, keep doing it. If it's not working, give it at least 6 weeks and then switch to something else. But pick something and stick to it for a while. For like weight management and diet changes, you really need to give it like a good 6 weeks to know if it's working for you or not. I like to do Bundy cooking. I said that in the first place. I like to make sure that I cook like a big batch of whatever. Like yesterday we made African peanut stew. I will be able to freeze that and keep it for, in the freezer for, on demand when I'm too tired to cook. And then I have a healthy home cooked meal. Try not to say, I can't do that. Instead, say, okay, I'm going to add in more avocado. I'm just going to buy a little bag of avocados every week, and I'm going to make an effort to eat them. I'm going to cut back from 2 pieces of white toast to 1 piece of whole grain toast. I'm going to switch from having a bunch of canned beans or whatever to broccoli. I'm going to switch to frozen broccoli. Just simple, easy things that make a big difference. And then fasting, make sure it's not stressing you out. You can just pay attention. If you start to feel stressed because you haven't had something to eat, good Lord, eat something. MyFitnessPal is my favorite because you can look at those 3 things, your calories, your nutrients, and your macros. But I do pay most attention to the macros. And you can take pictures in the app itself, which is pretty nice. I like to use pictures and clothing. I think it's more accurate than getting on the scale, because things can change with the bloating that we have. We can gain and lose 5 pounds in a matter of days. But pictures tell the story, and I only weigh in once a month. Okay, so weight management. Here we've got just some cat-cow. I wanted to show you this one because this one's really easy but very effective. See, when she's down, she's letting her stomach hang. So we're getting a really good stretch through all of this, and when you come back up, you really suck in the belly. So you're actually giving yourself an abdominal massage. So you're going to pick some recipes, do 2 or 3. And then if you like it, you'll do it again. If you don't like it, don't do it again. Bundy cook, use the crock pot, the Instapot, make too much, freeze your leftovers. Focus on what you're bringing in so you don't feel deprived. That dark chocolate with sea salt gives you a nice feeling like you're having a big treat, but it doesn't have a lot of calories. Start with walking every day. That's an easy way to add in exercise, and then add in some workouts with weights. You can find a lot of really good free ones on YouTube. Just look up general weight training for women over 50. And then what kind of exercise do you like? Like, I love Zumba. So I did a lot of Zumba by myself with the YouTube, and it kept me from getting bored. Tracking your macros, use the Women in Food or the Galveston diet or something else if something else seems good. And look at it like an experiment. So it's not really a pass or fail. You're just experimenting with what you like, what your body likes, how you feel. And then I detached from my weight. My weight's going to go up and my weight's going to go down. That's just the reality of the situation. I focus instead on strength and stamina. And then I wanted to talk really quickly about HRT. So it can't really be defined overall as safe or unsafe because it depends on that individual person. HRT is going to give you back the hormones. So they're talking about, they really want to change it to medical hormone therapy, like that they're replacing the therapy. They're replacing what your body isn't making anymore. But whether it's safe has to do with your other conditions. I have endometriosis. Please don't give me estrogen. It's going to make my endometriosis worse. It's as simple as that. It doesn't mean it's wrong though. And then if you have risks for strokes or blood clot, it could increase that risk. Depending on what kind of breast cancer is involved, it could increase that risk. And the endometriosal cancer, it's possible. And gallstones, there's a bit of debate about that one, whether that's actually true. I asked my doctor about it and she was like, I don't know about that one. But many people will be candidates for HRT. So you really have to ask. And please get your mammogram, because if there is something in there, you may not feel it, and they don't want to make it worse by giving you hormones. So this is just a little bit about the 21 days to fix your sleep. This is the sleep challenge that I did. And I put it in here because I lost weight when I did this, when I led these classes. I wasn't trying to lose weight at all. And it's because I lowered the cortisol. My cortisol, my stress hormone was lowered through the process of doing 30 minutes of yoga a day. And it also includes access to a small group chat. So it means you can talk to us about, I don't know, like honestly, one day we had someone in there talking about problems she was having talking to her son, and we just back you up on everything. And it might be too personal to share in a big group, but in the small group chat about sleep, we do talk specifically about sleep. So you can't get in there and be like, here's a million questions about hormones, because I'm not going to answer that. Not in that way, right? I need to know what's going on with you personally before I can do that. And this is what you get when you do it. Participants are consistently finding relief from sleep issues by around day 10. That's without medication or supplements. Now, you might use supplements, but it's only $200 and it's 21 classes. So you think of it like if you joined a studio, you'd get 12 classes for $180 as the rock bottom prices. So it's pretty cheap. And if you think about it, you'll feel less frustrated. You won't be alone. And you can do the videos whenever it works for you. It's a pretty sweet deal. I also have an anxiety and moods class. This is just, another thing that can help. It makes a big difference. The clients that I have that do the best are the ones that start with the anxiety and moods class and then do the sleep class. This is also about intimacy. I have a class that's specifically about the weird stuff that happens in perimenopause. It is a heteronormative class because I'm in a heterosexual relationship. But that would work for most people, and most of it does translate. Here's the stuff that is important to check out. So I'm going to make sure that everybody has access to the slideshow. This is just a nice little tongue drum experiment. The Menopause Foundation of Canada has some good stuff to check out. This is a quiz that Dr. Premji shared when we were in a private call on the weekend. What hormones you might need. Actually, one of her friends designed it, so that's pretty cool. And then the Canadian Perimenopause Society also has information about women's health. This is a podcast that was talked about specifically in that workshop that we did on the weekend that you might be interested in. And then I think Dr. Premji's talking in that one. This is the class Navigating Perimenopause and Menopause with Dr. Sarah Gottfried. This is like the introductory class specifically on hormones. She talks a lot about her book and what she did with her diet and exercise. And it's part of the membership, the commune membership. This is a little discount if you decide, oh, you know what? I want some, I don't know which one I talked about. I want some lion's mane, or I want some holy basil. I know you can get a really good holy basil from AOR. You get a discount for using that link. And then the ACEs matter. This is your trauma score. When Dr. Sarah was first talking about it, I really thought that it really wouldn't make a difference, but it makes sense if you think about it like, okay, the ovaries are not making as much estrogen, so the adrenal glands pitch in and make way too much cortisol to try to get the body to do what it's doing to spit out an egg. And then your stress hormone is really, really high. And if you've already started at a pretty high level, that really high ends up going even higher because your base level is so high. It's really good information to know. And I would encourage everyone to have a look at that because I myself was surprised that my score was so high. But the trauma that you go through as a child does inform how you feel as you're going through menopause. So this is just a thank you for coming. And this was from last year's CPMS Symposium. I just reused it because I think it's cute. And then we have lots of things on the books we loved. We have a podcast also on the website. And then links to the classes are available on the website. And then this is last year's information. So it's not $25, but. So there we go. We have a nice slideshow for you. I'm going to stop my screen sharing and see how we did. So I went a little bit over, but I got through the whole thing. And then, sorry guys, but the chat wasn't coming through while I was talking, so that's too bad. But oh yeah, MyFitnessPal is still free. Yeah, for sure. I use the free version. I never use the paid version. But you do have to put up with annoying ads, and I don't know if it's really worth the money because I never bothered doing it. But yeah, friends are super important. And okay. I think we covered everything there. So basically, the summary of the whole thing is pick something and do it. Pick something, do it. Do it for a while. Give it a good chance to work. And let me know if you need more help.